Georgina, how are you seeing the market from Redmayne-Bentley's perspective at the start of 2011 and how it may develop throughout the year?
This year will be difficult. Last year the companies were reporting very good earnings, but that was largely down to cost cutting. In the absence of cost cutting, because essentially that has already been done now, the big question is where growth is going to come from, and that is going to be difficult to come by. So it's quite likely that the first couple of quarters of this year are going to be harder than the last couple of quarters of last year.
And there are still pressures out there on businesses, I imagine, that perhaps as sharper as they've ever been.
There are enormous pressure. I mean, obviously inflation is running quite high now, 3.7% when it was last reported, but that's largely down to short-term factors, the price of fuel, the price of food. But at the same time, individuals are aware that their prices are rising and they are looking for increases in wages to counteract that. And wage pressures on companies are bringing to bear at the moment, but it would be a bad thing to actually start pushing up wage costs as well, because that would only make the inflation worse.
You work in a market which is obviously global by its very nature. Are you seeing the same kind of issues across the world, or do we have our own unique problems here?
There's certainly countries around the world, certainly in emerging economies such as Asia and the frontier economies, the sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East, where they have got a completely different perspective. They're growing fast, and they are driving the global economy right now. So what we're seeing in the UK is being seen in Europe, very different in America, because America hasn't got inflation problems. So it is slightly different in America, but they're just recently coming out of recession. But it's not the same the world over.
And looking at this year, what would you most like to see addressed if we are going to move towards the much talked about recovery?
There's a couple of things really. I think a reduction in bureaucracy, in particular in the financial services industry. You're talking about the regulation there and the huge amounts of ever-increasing regulation and the costs implied in that. But also clarity. The markets do not like uncertainty, and there's a lot of situations at the moment in Europe in particular which are balanced on a knife edge, and we do not know where they're going to go. So clarity on where that will go will certainly help.